Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Conscience, and you are listening to the Conscience Hip Hop Podcast, and I have a special guest with me today. This man is without question one of the dopest, most honest, and dynamic MCs of our generation. His desire to make God known to the world is beyond clear in his music, and his skill is undeniable. Ladies and gentlemen, 7J.
Man, this your boy 7J. It's your boy 7J, aka Double Z. Twinsies, twins, all that good stuff, man. 4-4, down bottom all day. Soli Deo Gloria, man. JCBG, we still in that. I'm a gospel artist out of Jacksonville, Florida. I've been doing gospel music since 2008. And from that time, I've released like 12 projects, a lot of them not online, a lot of them just sold locally here and stuff like that. And really just I'm anal about lyrics, man. Like, I'm such a lyricist. I like grew up listening to like a lot of up north people, and like Eminem and Fabulous, Cassidy, Jay-Z, Nas, Pop, all these dudes, man. So just real heavy in lyrics and real heavy on my doctrine. You're gonna hear a lot of it in my music, and that's pretty much how I can describe myself. If you like lyrics and you like theology, then I think you'll like your 7JCB.
Now, for those of you who don't know the reason for the occasion, this brother has just released a brand new mixtape called Down Bottom. 7J, what's up with the title? Could you tell us how you came up with it, why it's important to you, and where people can get this dope project?
Yeah, it's easy. So Down Bottom is the neighborhood I grew up in. Is where I'm from. Like, you could cut open my chest and pull out my heart, I feel like it would have Down Bottom written on it. That's where I'm from, and it's my neighborhood. I love it to death. A lot of my homeboys still there. My mom still lives down there. And also it's a play on one of my favorite analogies to use when I go out to minister places. I always talk about God being the highest level of authority, and he's at the top of this figurative ladder, and there's not a rung over him. Everybody is up under him, and as far as authority goes, and that when we sinned, we fell all the way down to the bottom of that ladder, and God would have been absolutely just to leave us all at the bottom of the ladder and condemn us to an eternity under his wrath. Yet instead, God sent his son, Jesus, to come down the ladder and be a sacrifice for us, be a propitiation for us. And through his perfect life, his virgin birth, and his ignominious death on the cross, and his glorious resurrection, now sinners are invited into the family of God. And so it's just a play on words that Jesus came down bottom to get sinners. He came down to the bottom of the ladder to grab sinners, and that's exactly what he did for me. He came all the way down bottom to my hood, literally and figuratively, to save me. So right now the CD is in the process of being put up on my website, www.7jministry.com, and that's 7 spelled out, SEVENJMINISTRY.com. So that's where the business is right now. That's what we focused on.
All right, so now that we got me dialed in here some more, I also want to make reference, the artwork on that mug is super dope. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, I'm going to be putting that as the cover photo to this podcast, so y'all will be able to see that as you listen to this. But did you come up with the concept of the album artwork, or how'd that all come together?
So I tell that story so much, bro. Like, so how I usually tell the story, I ask kids, because I'm usually ministering to young adults, teens, and I'm asking, like, so what happened if you slap one of your friends? Like, oh, I get suspended. What happened if you slap a teacher? Oh, I get expelled. What happened if you slap a cop? Oh, I go to jail. What happened if you slap the president? Oh, they'll kill me. And I'm like, well, how come you won't get killed for slapping your friend, but you'll get killed for slapping the president? And they're like, cause the president got more power than my friend. He's more important. And I'm like, okay, so who's the most important person ever? Like, God. All right, so what happens when you slap him? And it's usually quiet.
Dang.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so when we sin, it's a slap in his face. You're basically saying, no, God, I'm not obeying you. I'm going to do my own thing. It's a slap in the face to God. So when you slap him in the face, since he's the highest authority, you just earned yourself the highest punishment. And so God would have to, in his justice and in his holiness, condemn you and punish you for what you've done. But instead, he allows his son to be our substitute. So I've told that so many times. I was thinking about an album cover. My girl out in Texas, her name is Jacinda, or she's on Instagram as Shades of J. I met her at Legacy a little while back in Chicago. Man, she's the dopest artist that I know. She just takes scripture and she brings it to life. So I just called her and Jacinda, I got this crazy idea, like a ladder coming from heaven to earth, like a really, really long, high ladder. And I wanted to look like, hey, I want people to like just look at the CD at first and think, oh, it's just a ladder coming to earth. Then when they zoom in, like, oh, snap, there's a person on it. Like, what is that, a person on the ladder? And it looks like they're coming down. Like, and yes, so she was able to take what was in my head and bring it to life. And for that, like, I'm greatly indebted to her for doing that. And she couldn't have done a better job with it. Like, it looks exactly like what I pictured it to look like in my head.
I like it, man. It definitely is very clear at what's going on in the picture, but I think it's super dope that compared to the imagery that you get on it, I don't think anybody who doesn't know you would be ready to strap up and be ready for what they're gonna get in the project experience. It's almost like that nice easy pill, and then they feel the effects the moment they hit play and bug out. So I like it a lot, man. It's super crystal clear. I think as they listen to the tracks, the cover comes full circle as well. I'm gonna just ask you real quick to let the fans know. You don't got to answer it or not, but how old are you?
29.
Okay.
Lord, let me let her see it. I'll be 30 December 4th. Same day as Jay-Z and Tyra Banks.
Word. All right. So you say you're from down bottom.
4th Street, Pakistan, PYC, 4th Street, all day long.
Word. How has where you're from shaped your upbringing as it relates to the church, and how has that evolved over the years? Has it always been the same? Break that down for us.
So me being from where I'm from literally made me the man I am. I can't stress that enough. In one of the lines on one of the songs on the CD, I said I was searching for a father figure, and the streets took a hold of me. It taught me just how cold to be. The G code, it grew to me. Like, I learned so much from the old heads and the dope boys and stuff like that. They took me under their wing. You take this little mama's boy. That's how I was when we moved down there. I was a bookworm. I stayed in the house and read books. I wasn't involved in any sports before I moved there. Didn't go outside and really play like that. Just really like stayed in the house, man. Video games and books. That's all I did. And stayed up under my mama.
We call that straight edge out here.
That's me, bro.
Go on, man.
That's me, bro. You feel me? That's me all day long. Like, ready to, a Capri Sun before I go to sleep. You know what I mean? All that stuff, man.
That like, Kool-Aid squeezer.
Yeah, man. That's me, man. and so, like, when we moved there, man, I had no idea what it was like. We had a Habitat house is for, low-income families be able to have their first home. So we were able to get into that program, and they put us smack dab in the middle of the hood, and we was right across the street from the trap house and stuff like that. And it was crazy for me, like, my first time really going outside and getting to know my neighbors and playing football. Like, my homeboy Bud taught me how to play basketball. Taught me how to shoot. I used to shoot a basketball like a granny, like the granny shot. Taught me how to shoot. Taught me how to dribble. And playing football, they taught me how to play football. You know what I'm saying? Like, how to be tough. Like, before I fall on the ground, I'm ready to go in the house and tell my mama I need a Band-Aid or something. Like, they cussing me out, man. Get your punk up, man. Stop crying, man. You're a little boy. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of like learned that from them, and it changed me completely because I started emulating them. And I said it on the song, like, everywhere down bottom, I scream it because it molded me. But that same thing that molded me, it molded me and corroded me. So the same thing that like made me this gave me this edge. At the same time, I learned like a lot of principles from them. Some stuff translates beautifully to Christianity. Other things not as much. You know what I'm saying? And just learn, with girls, like you don't settle down with no one girl. We bounce from chick to chick.
No, we don't. No, we don't. This is PG. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, I'm gonna say that. You gotta keep it 1,000. We bounce from chick to chick.
We date one and only. Come on. Don't be blowing our rep.
If one of us fight, we all fighting. It ain't no such thing as no one-on-one down there, man. You fight one of us, you gonna have to fight his brother. You gonna fight his cousin. You gonna have to fight whatever. My first time ever seeing money being made that quick. I had never seen coke, had never seen crack before I moved down there, had never seen weed, had never seen guns. Other than on a police officer's hip, I had never seen those kind of things. And in the same breath, I had never seen the kind of brotherhood that these dudes had for each other.
Right.
So we'll split our laughs with each other. Well, you stay at my house. Hey, you borrow my jacket. Because you ain't got a jacket, you know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff, man. And
right.
It just made me a different person, man. I thank God for my neighborhood. I thank God for the friendships that I still have with these guys, man, because I don't know where I'd be without them. Like, I've been in a bunch of situations where I could have been easily off, or I could have been jumped, or I was getting jumped, and you know what I'm saying, my boys came through and say the day type thing, man. But we're a family down there, man. We family down there. We love each other down there, man. And it's not what everybody think it is. It's not just a bunch of game bangers. So
yeah,
my
interesting.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting to note about that is like, well, first let me just ask real quick: were your parents around you much when you were in your upbringing, or did they work a lot? What was that atmosphere like?
Yeah, so my daddy wasn't there much at all. He would come get me on the weekends. Some weekends he'd stand me up. I'm outside waiting for him. He don't show up. Mm-hmm. And then when he would come get me, it was kind of like counterproductive because he just showed me everything what not to do as a man.
Right.
Best thing my dad taught me how to do is change the tire. Other than that, I can't really turn a car. Now, when I turn my steering wheel, he helped me with learning how to turn. But other than that, I can't think of too much that he taught me about how to be a man of God or anything like that, how to love women rightly and stuff like that. So my dad was in and out of jail, in and out my life. A lot of empty promises, stuff like that. My mom was the soldier. That was my mama and my dad. I used to give my mom Father's Day cards, you know what I'm saying, when that time would come around. And wow. She worked her behind off, especially around this time of the year, like Christmas and stuff like that. She would take on another job to make sure that I had enough for Christmas. My sister and I have different dads. Mm-hmm. So my sister's dad is in her life a lot, and he's really wealthy, you know what I'm saying? So he used to make sure she was laced out for Christmas, but he would never look out for me on his jet, you know what I'm saying? So I had to kind of like just suck it up a lot of Christmases. My mama always, and I never wanted my mama to feel bad, like that she couldn't get me everything. So my mama really wasn't, she was there, but she was so absent because there was so much stuff that she had to worry about herself. Like, how am I going to pay these bills? She's stressed out about this. A lot of times I just see her crying and don't answer the phone because bill collectors. And as many times I just go in her room and I see her on the bed, like hunched over, like with a bunch of papers all around her, like wondering how she going to pay the bills and stuff like that. So then it wasn't like really, it wasn't like really an opportunity to be nurtured by her, or you know what I'm saying, to really like grow with her.
Right.
So I just kind of like turned it to reading books initially, and that eventually spilled over into poetry. That eventually spilled over into rap. And rap, you're going to rap what you're around. It just is what it is. People wonder why dudes get big and start rapping about jewelry, and they started off rapping about the streets because they're rapping about what they're around now. So my music started to reflect the neighborhood that I was in, and then my music, where my music went, my lifestyle went, because now you got to live what you're rapping about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and I want to zoom into that for a quick second, because we're segueing here, but you know, a lot of people that aren't either from the streets or off of a low medium income family household, if you're not from that, you might think immediately, like a lot of people from the outside might say, well, why wouldn't you just stay in the house? Why wouldn't you just avoid it? Why didn't you just take a different street? Why wouldn't you, you know, call your rich friend or go find some different friends? And it's like, well, one, that's not even real.
Facts.
You know, it really is a jungle in a cage oftentimes, especially as a young kid with no whip. Parents might not be home, stuff like that. But on top of that, and this is the part you don't really see, it's not portrayed in the media because the world is making a ton of money off exploiting all the bad in it and all the allure. But like, it sounds like a lot of what put you in the streets was things that, you know, most even quality people would find to be valuable, like friendship, education. You got perspective. So you had learned great qualities and there were friends that you ran into that took care of you, and the idea of fellowship and survival and stuff like that is just as much prevalent, if not more, in the streets than it is in more privileged areas. And so it's a hard balance, because if you might be getting that to a little bit at home, but you know, the streets become, you know, it's just like school. If you're in school, you know, your teacher and your friends are the big shapers and influencers in your life, because you're there 8-10 hours a day. You ain't home that long. So it's like, if you're in the streets, majority of your daily life is outside. And so you know, you gravitate towards that, and that's what shapes you. And it's not all like people paint it out to be. There are admirable things about you know, the camaraderie and the things that come with the streets of people just trying to survive and make it and take care of one another, and family values and stuff like that. All that is still just as prevalent. So it's just interesting how a lot of the stuff that shaped you are you know, especially things like loyalty, it sounds like it sticks out a lot as well. Is just it makes for a really interesting story, and a side that I don't think a lot of people, they don't see, because if you're only listening to the radio or watching TV, you're not really seeing the good parts about it. So like my big brother Pooh, like he kind of like put me on everything, bro. Like my big brother Pooh like put me on G with a lot of stuff, like as far as guns and this how the streets work, this how all this kind of stuff operate. Like I don't think he was doing it to necessarily, hey, I want you to go down this path, but hey, I'm just trying to let you know like how to survive out here. Yeah, he's giving you the glasses.
I'm gonna give you the tools that you need. You know what I'm saying, to survive out here. That's who I was talking about in Space Jam. You know, like he really on that. You know what I mean? And so it's just knowing, man, that now that Christ has saved me, man, bro, and I literally... It's not
like that stuff leaves you, right?
I literally, and I could call my wife in here right now, I literally was just in tears about this today, bro. I can never abandon where I came from. I can't. For nobody. For nothing. I feel like in a sense like how Moses felt. And I'm not finna stay here in Pharaoh's house and my people are in slavery. I gotta go rock with them, bro. I gotta go rock with them, dog. Like, and I can't forget about them. I can't stop talking about them. I can't stop praying for them. I can't stop investing in their lives. I can't stop giving them the gospel. I can't stop loving on them and showing them that, hey, there's an alternative to the streets. And you know, Jesus isn't this fairy tale, because a lot of them, man, you say Jesus, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny, all of that's in the same category. Jesus not real to them, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
not
that's
a
a
real
grace of
figure.
God. That's a grace of God that you even want to do that, because I can just tell you as an American, the idea of dangerous ministry is oftentimes like just leaving the church or giving out food to the homeless while you're still in a nice whip, or it's so, or taking a plane out to India where you've got 50 people that are rich taking care of you, but you're just kind of diving into the quote unquote battlefield for a second. No shade to those ministries, but when I hear you talk about where you come from, the first question I have is who is gonna preach the gospel there? And so just the fact that after encountering the gospel, the first thing you think is, I need to go back, and I don't want to go anywhere else, because these people are who I care about, and this is on my mind. At least the stuff that first hits you in the heart. That's a special grace from God, man, because I've seen too many people leave where they're from and think that the ministry is somewhere else. And there's no doubt that there are opportunities out there, but it just looks crazy when nobody in your community knows who you are, but you just have a presence somewhere else so heavy. And the fact that it's apparent that what you live is a dangerous scenario. You know what I mean? So
and it's a down bottom everywhere. Like, right. So like my thing is, I'm not just pro Pakistan. I'm not just pro PYC. I'm not just pro my hood. You know what I mean? I'm pro people living in these neighborhoods and these environments that is no freaking way out. Can anything good come out of Galilee? Like, my heart is for those places, bro. Like, and do rich people need the gospel just as much as poor people? Absolutely. Probably more. It's probably more urgent for them to get it than for a poor person, because the poor person knows that they need something. The rich person thinks they don't need anything, Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. Do rich people need the gospel? Heck yeah. Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, rich people need the gospel. I didn't come up rich, so I don't. If I get in the gospel, it's gonna be Romans 1-6, and here you go. This is the gospel. Right. I can give you a very theological view of the gospel, but when you ask me to go to the block and give them the gospel, I can talk to them in terms that you understand what I'm talking about, man. Like, Jesus, you're trying to open up the door, but it's closed. Homie, Jesus is the key, like 36 O's. Oh, like, they gonna think that line is crazy. Mm-hmm. Somebody else grew up like 36 O's a key. What do you mean? Like, yeah, I mean, like, but to them, that's
which verse?
Yeah. What about, is that in Genesis? You know what I'm saying? Like, when did Jesus say that? Is
that a Living Word translation?
36 ounces of cocaine. When did Jesus say that he's 30? No, man, but Jesus is the key to the door, man. Like, so I'm more comfortable. You feel me? I'm comfortable. We're cut from that same cloth. I've run into dudes who didn't grow up anywhere near my neighborhood, but they grew up in another hood in Jacksonville, and me and them link and we touch immediately, because we both come from this background where it's one parent, no daddy, and the streets is all you know. You got friends getting shot and killed around you left and right. You got people dying around you left and right, people getting incarcerated around you left and right, and you realize that, hey, it's got to be a different way. It's got to be something else that I can do to get out of here. And I just resonate with them. I always will. Nobody can change that about me but God himself. And I don't think God is going to change that.
Word, man. Word. Well, that's good, man. And I appreciate you for being transparent about all this and stuff. And, I definitely want to encourage people, even as we're just midway in the interview, to go check out this project, man. Like, there's a lot of words that get packed into each song with this brother. So if you want to learn more about where he's from and what's on his heart, man, don't look any further than the project Down Bottom. So, moving along, how would you say, well, let's put it this way. Has your musical upbringing been fairly consistent? You said it a little bit earlier, but what were some key influences, whether musicianal influences, or sorry, not musical, but musicians and just people in general? Who really shaped your sound and your passions about music?
Whew. All right, so I'm gonna go musicians first, then I go people.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna elaborate on musicians because we'll be here all night, bro.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. I do that. Musicians who influenced my pen. Tupac and Bone Thugs and Harmony, number one. They both share that spot. Without that group and that guy, I don't think I would be rapping right now. They helped me tremendously. As far as lyricism, Fabulous and Eminem probably number 2.
That's an interesting combination.
Bro, I literally used to get Eminem CD, and this is before like you could just type in something in Google and pull it up. Like I would get CD and stop it every 5 seconds and write down the words and try to understand how did he make this rhyme with that and try to mimic it.
Yeah, you can tell you're over 25 because ain't nobody around here unless you've been pushing about 30 gonna know the era where you either the tape recorder or the CD Walkman, you hit the pause button and translate lyrics onto the pad and see if you can spit them joints.
See if you can spit lyrics, man. Imagine doing that with Bone Thugs and Harmony and they rapping.
You'd be shocked, man. You learn quick. You didn't have internet back then, so you get that down in about 10-20 plays real quick, man. Or the karaoke machine, or the tape recorder, or sound recorder to get your lyrics down when the computer was out, because you ain't know what a software was.
Yeah.
Oh man, keep going though, man. Sorry, I just had to jump right
in. M, Fab, Cassidy, Jay Z. Oh my God, he influenced my pen so much. Nas. Okay. What's your boy name? Jay Z. Lil Wayne. Oh goodness. Okay. Lil Wayne, Young Dro, and T.I. And I would say those are probably, and Kevin Gates. More recent.
Wow.
And then
that's a curveball.
Kevin Gates is a curveball, ain't it?
Okay. Well, they ain't no one from New Orleans really carrying the torch anyway, so it makes sense.
Other than Wayne. So when you come from that to the people that influenced my pen the most, my mom, just seeing her struggle so much made me want to be better. And made me want to pick up my pen and go harder. My little brother Fonzo, when he passed away at 2 years old, that made me go harder at rap because I told him that I was gonna be a big rapper one day. My auntie Sylvia, who passed away when I was a senior in high school to breast cancer, she was very instrumental in my writing. She always encouraged me. She told me to feel like if you feel like you're the best, you'll write like you're the best. If you don't think you're the best, you won't write like that and that. That really impacted me even to this day. My homegirl Tabitha, when I was putting out CDs in high school, she was the only person to come to me and say, hey, Seven, you're trying to squeeze too many words in one line. Maybe you should space it out some. and it was offensive to me at the time.
I was gonna say, what was your response?
I'm like, girl, I just sold 15 CDs in first period. I'm platinum, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, she helped a lot. My boy Des Nato, me and him started our own record label together when I was in the streets, and it was extremely successful. It's definitely a heavy influence on my pen. My boy Fresh G, my brother LaRon, La Key. What up, La Dougie, man? He has bars too, man. He crazy. And last but not least, my left hand and my daughter, man. I look at them and I look at them and I ball a verse up. I gotta go harder for them. So my wife and my daughters, they got the most gas in my tank right now. So
you can't come back in the house if you go out and write some trash.
She'll tell me
breakfast
too,
will
man.
Be cold.
She'll tell me if it's garbage too. I'll be like, dang, man, keeping it too stacky with me.
You gotta love our wives, man. They'll let you know.
Facts.
I don't really like that.
Facts.
Word, man. That's a blessing, bro. Um,